I was watching an interview with Mr. Rogers, and I think one of the fascinating things that he said is that, like, we live in a very noisy world. What's up, friends? Paul here, and welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I hope you're doing well whenever you're listening to this. I just wanted to jump on real quick and give you an update on how things are going. So far with the podcast, we've reached many different countries. I want to say we have like a list of like 50. Let me see if I can get to the exact number for you. But it is amazing how many countries we've been able to reach with this podcast. I am blown away that, like, having started this nearly almost a year ago, if not a year, we're just about on the year mark. We're 46. This is the 46th episode of The Beautiful Mess. So it's just like amazing how things have gone and moved. And so let's see here. Yeah, 50 plus countries. I would list them out to you, but that probably would take too long. So I won't bore you to tears with that information, but thank you all for tuning in wherever you are in the world. It just means a lot to me. You know, even if it was just like one person listening to this that got value out of it, that is what we're hopefully doing here, is bringing value to you and giving you information that can help you move further in life. As you might know, I'm doing a challenge to some degree, and I'm hoping to maybe share a little bit into the insights of that challenge and maybe encourage you in 2023. We're getting close to 2023. So think about this and let me know if this is something that you're interested in. Somebody mentioned it to me about having kind of like a book club. I don't know if we'll exactly do a book club, but maybe I'd be happy to share some of the books that I found helpful throughout my 40 books that will be finishing hopefully soon here. Let me see what book exactly we're on, but I want to say we're in the final stretch, the final countdown. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. I want to say we're in the last 5 or so. Let's see, reading challenge. If you're looking for a tool for keeping track of your reading, highly recommend the app Goodreads. It's a great place, and you might even have some friends that are on there, and then you can see what books they're reading and maybe get some insights into things that you might find useful, or you could ask someone a personal like feedback. How did you find this book? Was it valuable? And that way you don't waste your time reading a book that they could just quickly say like, don't waste your time. So I've read 36 of the 40. So I got 4 books left. And so far, like the next books that I've got, close to finishing, you know, the one that I'm like reading a physical book, like many of you know, I like to read from audiobooks, but so the physical book is The Third Door by Alex Banayan. Please forgive me if I'm butchering the name. But the idea behind this book is that, you know, the author kind of gives this analogy of like a nightclub, and there's usually like 3 ways to get in. The first is the main door, where I guess there's like a bouncer or somebody that like regulates who can come in and who can't. And then you have the second door, which is where all the VIPs, the billionaires, the celebrities, you name it, those are the people that go through that door. And then you have the next person that, you know, climbs through the open window, you know, bangs on the kitchen door, sneaks his way in. And it's fascinating because I guess it's kind of meta in some way, because the author did just that. You know, he interviewed many successful people, you know, anywhere from Bill Gates to Tim Ferriss and like anywhere in between. And it was just fascinating that this was something that he found as like a common thread, was like this sense of like finding a way in. Steven Spielberg, for example, like he found a way into, Hollywood kind of through a back door. He was on I think a tour bus or something like that. He jumped off and managed to talk to someone and was able to come back. And the rest is kind of history. I mean, it's pretty amazing that he was able to get into Hollywood through this method. And so I can speak from experience. I'm happy to share some of my experiences with kind of going through the third door. It's just, so it's all about who you know, honestly. There have been times with a job offer, it was kind of out of the blue, I wasn't expecting it. And then all of a sudden, I get an email offering me a job just because, something came up in a conversation, just something that said, and it was okay, that let's do it. So you just never know how you can kind of work your way through life. And I think one of the overarching things that I found in the book, from the successful people's experiences, but then also from the people that just in life, life experience is again, it goes back to who you know, because he was able to work his way kind of to Bill Gates by means of the people that he knew within his circle, first of all, and then branching out little by little until this person knew this person, and then the other person knew this person, and then it was just weaving your way through this complicated situation. So if you try the first story and you don't succeed, maybe it's a college application, maybe it's applying for a job, you name it. But one of the fascinating things that came up was that you can also knock too hard on the door. And this was what happened with him, Alex, and Warren Buffett. So he tried so hard to get an interview with Warren Buffett, and he actually kind of through another means, he found the way to kind of what are those annual meeting type of things. So he managed to ask questions at the annual meeting to Warren Buffett, but he never got that one-on-one interview, at least not yet. I'm sure he's still hoping. But he would send emails. He would, I think he even sent a shoe, joking, get my foot in the door. And so he went to all these extremes, and it wasn't working. And he got the interview with Bill Gates, and Bill Gates said, "Oh, that's easy. I can get you an interview with Warren Buffett." But because he had sent so many requests and asking, basically the person on staff, I think, with Bill Gates basically said, please don't bother asking again for Warren Buffett, because I guess he had, tried it too many times. So that's, I guess, a message too. It's you can do something to an extreme that it's detrimental. So it's a fine balance. You want to find the way to get into something, but you don't want to also burn your bridges along the way, so that when you go back to try to get in, maybe through the fourth door, you don't end up failing that. But yeah, the book is full of really fascinating stories. I think one of my favorites was how he got on the Price is Right show. I think he was in his dorm room, he basically he felt like he was not getting what he wanted out of school. He was going to school, but he just felt like there was more, there was something else that he wanted to do. And so instead of, I think he had a final or something of that nature coming up. And so he was studying, but then he was something came up, and he realized that there was a Price was Right coming up, and he studied not for his final, but how to hack The Price is Right. And he would watch, The Price is Right. He would look up how to weave your way into it. So, he found out that like you had to be like super obnoxious, super like boisterous, super like, way out there personality. And so when he got to the place for The Price is Right, like he was over the top, very bubbly, and like, he kind of made a point to, like, I guess they knew like the people that would pick the people to be on the show. And so like once he identified those people, he made a point to be over the top and I guess make his self known to them, and it worked. He got on the show and he ended up winning. So it's a fascinating story. I believe it's true in life. Like you go through things and you figure out that you might not be able to like apply for a job directly. Like maybe you don't have like, a lot of jobs have like experience required 5 years. But maybe if you have somebody that's vetting for you, that's can vouch for you, then you can kind of work your way in because that person trusts. Like that's the biggest thing. And I thought this was fascinating. Emails, like he sent out a lot of emails in the process of trying to get these interviews and whatnot. And I think what it boiled down to was like being the face-to-face interactions. Because like I think he would sometimes get like no's or maybes, but then when he was in front of someone and he could communicate his ideas, and they saw like his, himself light up when he talked about what he wanted to do. I think it really helped like inspire them to actually say yes to his requests. But you just never know like where life will lead if you try the third door, because maybe right now you're just like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can get through to where I want to go. Have you tried the third door? Maybe there's someone in your circle that knows a person. But if you never ask, you may never know what could happen, and who you might be able to meet, or things that you can do or whatnot. Because it's all an adventure. The other book that I'm reading right now is a book about like how modern life is detrimental to our health. It's detrimental to our mental health. I mean, many of you already know this, right? Technology, it's a blessing and something that gets in the way of life. So it's important to realize that can happen, where you can kind of get brainwashed in the sense of like you have these like neurons that fire, like neurologically, like you can make a pathway to things so that like it's really easy to start, scrolling on social media. It's really easy to binge on Netflix because they make it so that you naturally want to continue watching. They don't want to make it so that you're like, I want to turn it off. And that's why they have their algorithms so well designed that as soon as you land on that page, they know what buttons to push on you to get you to interact with the platform, to dive in deeper. And so I think it's important to realize that that's happening, not to like be all doom and gloom. I'm not one of those people, because I think there are good elements. And this is another thing they talk about in the book. I'm maybe early stages, 10, 20% into this book so far. is that there's a lot of negativity in modern life. There's a lot of like, you look at the news, there's a lot of stories that, make you feel like there's a shortage of things. There's a lot of terrible things going on. And I guess the beauty of in the olden days, if you will, is that you didn't get global news. They couldn't always push negativity in your face. It was difficult because to get that news from all over the world, they would have to, a boat would have to come over with mail, and they would have to slowly spread the news if it ever got there. If we go back far enough, it's like your information was within like a little circle. Now with the internet, it's amazing what you can do, like the information that you can get from all over the world. But also at the same time, it's like you have to be cautious and filter. You have to create your own personal filters. And that's what I'd recommend. And that's what I've been trying to do, is create my own filters for what I let into my life. What is it that I value, and try to filter in the stuff that's going to bring me things that are meaningful and can help me live a better life, and then filter out anything that's noise. I was watching an interview with Mr. Rogers, and I think one of the fascinating things that he said is that like we live in a very noisy world. I mean, obviously, now it's even noisier, but like even when he was saying that, like I think one of the fascinating things that he said is he like wakes up, I think he said like no later than 5 a.m. And then he spends, I think he said like a couple hours just like in silence. He's like, people need more silence to understand who they are, and like be able to, I mean, like, it's like, if you don't understand who you are, how are you going to give what you don't have? Like coming from a place of your values and coming from a sense of like identity versus what does the media want? And because now the algorithm controls a lot. It controls what you see, what you might tend to gravitate towards, because what you come in contact with and you're seeing does affect what you value in positive and negative ways. Just think about brand recognition. There's a reason why brands buy ad space and consistently show you things, because maybe the first few times you have no intention of buying a thingamabob that will help you with who's it or what's it, but after like 50 times watching it, all of a sudden you become more receptive. You become a little bit more like, okay, I could see myself doing that. And if you don't have space and time for you to unpack that, to understand, do I really, really need this? And I fall prey to it too. It's like, you think like this app, I'll give you a personal example. Like I was, trying to find ways of like motivating me to like take more steps. And so like I downloaded a bunch of apps onto my phone and I like tried them out. And in the end, I was like getting frustrated with it all. And I just said, hey, like it's not adding value to me. I'm better off with like the built-in app for Garmin or like the Apple Health app. And so I pretty much got rid of like all of the apps. There's some that I kept, and I'm going to play around with them a little bit more. If I find some value in them, maybe I'll share it with you. But I think it just goes to show that you got to be careful about what you let in and whether or not it's helping you live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Anywho's, so those are the two books that I'm reading right now. So the first one is The Third Door by Alex Banayan. Yeah. And the other book is Brainwash. I don't have it in front of me, but let me see if I can find the author's name for you, because I'm sure there's other books out there by Brainwash, and it probably has a different meaning than this. This is more about neurological information. So the whole title is Brainwash: Detox Your Mind for Clear Thinking, Deeper Relationships, and Lasting loading happiness. So it's a New York Times bestseller. David Perlmutter, MD, and Austin Perlmutter, MD, with Kristen Loberg. So far, it's been interesting. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, so take what I say about it with a grain of salt. But so far, been a good read, interesting, fascinating. Neuroscience is pretty cool. Understanding how your brain works and what you can do about it. I'm a big fan of practical application, not just learning stuff, but learning how you can apply it to your life. And I think this book is one of those examples of both information and things that you can take away and immediately start applying to your life. So, Brainwash. And I think it's a father and son, David Perlmutter, Austin Perlmutter. So yeah. Hope you find value. Anywho's, that's the beautiful mess for today. If you want to be part of the Messy fam, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, all those social media places that we just talked about that have an algorithm that suck you in. So be sure, if the beautiful mess is on the top of your list, make sure you subscribe so that you do not get as brainwashed by the landing page. There is actually a newsfeed eradicator that you can install. This is not sponsored by any means. If they want to sponsor, let me know. But there is a Chrome extension that you can get that eliminates your newsfeed. I'm using it right now, and it is helpful because then you don't instantly see a feed of things that will distract you. So anyways, that wasn't supposed to be this long. Just came out. Anyways, till next time, my friends, stay messy.